So my cell phone rings, I pick it up, look at the face, and it shows me the CEO of the company I work with is calling. So I pick it up, and he has a dilemma. He says, Randy, you know, the big event next month, the convention, we're going to give you the award for the top income earner in the world again. This will be the 6th time that I've done that. And he said, so here's my question. You're about $70,000 short of $10 million in commissions. So, you know, are we allowed, would it be right or ethical to say that you made $10 million in commissions so far, even though you're $70,000 short? So I was like, no, that's not, you know, we can't say that. But here's what you could do. You could create a one-time bonus of $71,000 and give it to me and say, this is a special award because you've been the top income earner in the world 6 years in a row. And can you believe he refused to do that? So here's the interesting thing. Sometime next month, between the 20th and the 25th of the month, I will surpass $10 million in commissions. Now, why is that important to you? I want to share how I became the $10 million man. And most importantly, what are the lessons for you in that? Because there's 7 lessons that I learned this time around that really have opened up my eyes to what's different in this space of network marketing. Different in terms of what's really working today versus what worked 10 years ago, what worked 20 years ago. What's working in the era of social media and the internet and, you know, all of the other changes that are taking place. There's 7 things that I think are really fascinating, and I think it's important. There's 7 lessons I took from this. And here's why I think it's really important to you. This wasn't the first $10 million I've earned. It's certainly not going to be the last $10 million I've earned. But this was the fastest I ever built a group from scratch to this level, at that kind of income and volume and all of that. And what I want you to understand, I did this totally from scratch, beginning with nobody, nothing. I didn't have a cooked leg. I didn't have a position. I didn't do a deal. I know there's lots of people who would tell you they made $10 million in network marketing. There's not many who could tell you they did it without a deal, without getting placed in a spot. I bought a kit, I bought a product activation order, I started from scratch, and I ramped up an organization of about 200,000 people in a bunch of different countries around the world, which has resulted in commissions, not consulting fees, not payments, not deals, commission check to me personally of $10 million, some point between the 20th and 25th next month. So I want to talk about what those 7 lessons are, and I think this is a training that can really, you can share with your group, and it can really help you to replicate the kind of results I got in your team, and some of the things that you can do if your group, if you got a problem with dropouts or no-shows, you're not really getting duplication, you're not seeing leaders step up every month, and that you have a new generation of leaders taking, you know, always coming up the pipeline. These 7 lessons can help you really get the true results, because that's the other fascinating thing, I think, is I've been on a sabbatical for, 7 or 8 months. So the fact that I have this income that not only hasn't gone down, but has actually gone up in 7 or 8 months, tells you what a good job I did with duplication. It tells you that I created something very few people in network marketing have, which is true passive residual income. So, you know, it's very easy to, you know, we can have residual income, right? If you got a paper route with 200 customers, you deliver the papers every month, you've got a residual income. But that's not passive income. If you're not delivering those newspapers, you're not going to get it. I've created a very large passive residual income through these 7 lessons, which we're going to talk about. So I'm going to go through them as quick as I can, but set aside 45 minutes or an hour for this, because I really would like to get into depth, and I want to make sure that you really understand each of these lessons and that you can implement these lessons in your own team building and create the results you want in your network. This is totally generic. You'll be able to share it with anybody and everybody on your team. I'm not endorsing any companies or promoting any companies. There is no secret agenda. I'm going to talk about the lessons I learned, and I'm going to tell you about an online learning platform I have that can help you learn some of these skill sets. So it's all very straightforward. So lesson number 1, major blast beats constancy. Now, what do I mean by that? Major blast beats constancy. Well, what I did for 20 years, almost 20 years in the business, was constancy. I said, yeah, slow and steady wins the race. You got to be consistent. I'm going to do my list. I'm going to find enough people to talk to get 1 or 2 serious people. When I get 2 serious people, I'm going to start driving depth. And I'm going to go down and get in the living room of those people and the living rooms of those people. And I'm going to drive depth and drive depth. And I'm going to spend some months doing that. I'm going to get them to a certain level of proficiency. Then I'm going to, when I feel like those lines can operate without me, then I'll go out and I'll replicate the process again. I'll talk to some more people, sponsor some more people, find 2 serious people. I'll start driving depth. Here's what I did different this time around. And again, this is the fastest I've ever built a team and the biggest I've ever built a team. This time around, I did something that I call a major blast, where I said, I'm doing my whole list and I'm just putting it out to everybody. That, hey, I've got this thing, and I want you to look at it. You don't have to say yes, you don't have to say no, you just look at it. So I always feel, and I think this is true for you and everyone watching this video, it's not our job to sponsor people. It's our job, that's up to them. They got to make the decision what's right for them. Our job is to expose the opportunity to them and let them make the right decision for them. So with this major blast, I pretty much put it out to 300 to 400 people within 120 days. Now you say, well, how did you sponsor that many people? How did you recruit that many people? How did you make presentations to that many people? I didn't. I just put it out there to that many people. Every business card I have a stack of those in a rubber band. Everybody who was in my phone, everybody who was in my email program, people that I went to school with, people I went to church with, neighbors, friends, relatives, all the usual things. And I did the whole list building, who do you know, who sold you your car, who sold you your carpet, who sold you your stereo, who did go to school with, who lives on the left, all the memory jogger stuff. And I just did a blast of a couple hundred people, and within 60 days I did a blast of another couple hundred people, and just put it out there, and ended up sponsoring 11 people right away that got really serious within 30 days, and I worked with the 11. So I'm going to talk about how I do that in another one of these lessons, and how you can do that. But just know that that was the first lesson, that doing a major blast when you first launch your business, or if you've been in a while and you want to relaunch your business, you can do this. It's going to beat the constancy thing hands down. Lesson number 2, will trumps skill. Will trumps skill. And by that I mean it's all about activity. Remember, I told you, I just put it out to a couple hundred people. Within 60 days, I was going to the next tier of my list. People that were casual acquaintances, people I just met, people I got a card. Some of these cards I didn't even know. There was one, I started to enter somebody's email in my thing, and it auto-filled another email of someone else that I was like, who is that? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but I sent him an email at some point, so I'm gonna send him this email. Hey, do you want to take a look at this? And that person joined the business and got pretty serious, and by casual standards, I mean, they went in, they invested, they got products, they sponsored some people. They probably had 20 people in their group within 2 months to 3 months. So for somebody that auto-filled an email, that kind of tells you something. But why I say that activity or will still trumps skill is because in the past, I would have said, well, I've got to get up to this level of skill. I've got to get up to this level of proficiency. I've got to achieve mastery. And what I found is that that's not true, because this is going to lead us to the third lesson that I learned, which is proficiency basics beat mastery. Proficiency basics beat mastery. And here's what I mean. In the past, I would have spent months trying to train somebody into a leader, and then help them spend months trying to train people into leaders, and months and months and months, and I would have been doing that constancy thing. And I would have been holding back myself. I would have said, well, I'm not really an expert in this skill of inviting, or I'm not an expert in meeting people. I haven't achieved mastery in how to do presentations. And one of the things I learned this time around is, he or she who makes the most presentations ultimately wins. It doesn't matter. Give me someone who's going to make 200 crappy presentations over somebody who's waiting to do the one perfect presentation. Because you know what? The person who does 200 crappy presentations, they're putting it in front of 200 people. And out of 200 people, there's always going to be 15 to 20 who are really looking for something in their life right now. They're looking for freedom. They're looking for security. And they will see the network marketing business as the vehicle that will deliver that for them. And they won't care about the crappy presentation. And they don't care that somebody stuttered and stammered and said and ah and all the time, and they got mixed up and they couldn't follow their flip chart, or they couldn't follow their PowerPoint slides or their web presentation. They don't care, because they're only interested in, how does this apply to me? How would I win a free bonus car? How would I win a trip to Hawaii or Fiji or Tahiti or someplace like that? How could I create a $10,000 a month residual passive income? How could I create a $25,000 a month passive residual income? How could I fire my boss? How could I go into business for myself? How could I work with my friends and family and people I like with from home and not have to face traffic and commute and office politics and all of that kind of stuff? So what I learned this time around, and when I say proficiency basics, here's what I learned. The basic skill sets, the 4 basic skill sets: how to meet people, inviting, follow-up, and working a candidate list. All we have to do is get people up to a basic level of proficiency in those 4 skill sets as quickly as possible. And by that I mean like within the first week. Literally within the first week to 10 days. We can get anybody up to a basic proficiency level and put them into activity and plug them into the major blast. And if you get somebody with just basic proficiency in the 4 skill sets and they do a major blast, they're going to get enough traction, they're going to get enough people in, that they're going to get some serious people, and those serious people are going to start to run with it. And you get a couple of people running with this, and all of a sudden you've got a group of 500 people. And all of a sudden you have a group of 1,500 people. And next thing you know, you've got a group of 20,000 or 40,000 people. And it started with somebody who had not achieved mastery in any of these skill sets yet, but they had basic proficiency. How to meet people, how to work a candidate list, how to invite, which is a huge one, and follow up. And those are all skill sets that anybody can learn very readily. Lesson number 4. Scalability increases duplicability. Scalability increases your duplicability. Now, here's where this comes into play. When you do a major blast, you talk to a lot of people, you've got to be able to scale your activities. You've got to be able to scale your actions, and your people have to be able to duplicate that, meaning they have to be able to scale their actions too. So back in the day, I would have brought someone into the business, right? I would have gone to their house, I would have spent 2 hours doing a new member orientation with them and helping them do their list, and who do you know named Joe, and who do you know named Mo, and who do you know named Curly, who lives on the left, who lives on the right. I would have, browbeat them into doing a list, and I would have taken them through all the thing. I didn't do that this time around. I said, you know what? These are big kids. They're committed, they say they want to join the business. I'm going to give them a track to run on. I'm going to systematize this thing, and I'm going to automate it as much as I can. So You create training manuals, you create training websites, you create training videos, you create training audios, you create training webcasts, webinars, whatever it is, you systemize everything so it's scalable. So I could sponsor 18 or 20 people in the first week, which I did, and get 11 serious people who wanted to run with it. And I could work with those 11 because I gave all 11 their homework and said, go here and follow this Get Started training. And if you follow my work for any time, if you got my book or my Duplication Nation album, you know, I've got generic versions of all this. How to do your list, how to orientate a new member, like a generic Get Started training for anybody you put in the business. So I put tools like that into place so that I could scale it. And you've got to do the same thing. You've got to be able to scale the business. So when you get someone really serious and they're ready to rock and roll, they can rock and roll. Because every one of you, if you've been in the business a while, you've seen this, just like I have. You will introduce somebody to the business, and they don't even have their first activation order yet. And they've sponsored 5 people. How did they get 5 people? They just have passion, intensity, urgency. They love the idea of the product. They love the idea of the opportunity. They get excited. They go out. They talk to everybody in their world. And they didn't even have all the skill sets. They don't know how all the comp plan works. But the passion, intensity, urgency, remember, will trumps skill. They have will. They didn't have the skill yet, but they had the will. So when you get someone like that, you got to be scalable, meaning your system has to be scalable so that if somebody comes in and really goes crazy with this, the system allows them to do that. All right? Number 5 lesson. Huge one, huge one. Deals are no deal. I mean, I got to tell you, the top earner in the company when I joined my company was a guy who had a deal. They had, he was talked with the founders and they set him up in a structure and they made him a deal, and so he was there. The person above me had a deal. They went into the company and they had a lot of experience and a track record that they told them about, and they got a deal. And so there were people above me that had a deal. They're gone now. They're not even in the company anymore. There was another leader, Crossline, who got a deal in another market overseas, and they got some kind of deal. And then there were other people, even in my own organization, where somebody would come along and they said, well, this person has got such and such a size organization with this company, and they have a conflict of interest, and they don't feel they could work with that company anymore, and they want to come over to our company, and they need a deal to, top up their income in the meantime. And I know several of those took place in my organization. And you know what I know? Here I am a couple years later. Every single one of those people who came in on a deal left on another deal. And the people I have that are still in are the people that got in the right way and built it the right way. So I don't know, I'm just giving you, this is my viewpoint. I know there's people out there promoting and advertising that that's the best way to build, and they've got a war chest and they're buying leaders from all companies. I just give you my experience. Here's the lessons I learned. You take with it what you want. My experience is deals or no deals, because everybody I saw who had a deal, who came in from a deal, they left for a different deal or a better deal somewhere else. So that's my take on that. Lesson number 6. Leaders are your best investment. Now, obviously I've made a lot of money. You've heard I'm going to surpass $10 million just in my commissions. People always ask, what do you invest in? Do you invest in real estate? Do you invest in stock, gold, precious metals, savings? Well, I do have a lot of things I invest in. I got to tell you, I've got a good investment program. I'm completely debt-free. I don't owe a penny to anyone. I own my home. I own my cars. I don't buy anything on credit. But I would tell you this, the best investment I ever made was in my leaders. And what I did that caused such rapid growth is Every month I invested in leaders, meaning every month I look in my back office and say, okay, where do I have some potential leaders bubbling up? Where do I see some volume really taking off? And it doesn't matter if it's 200 miles away or 10,000 miles away. I look in that back office, and if I see a brush fire developing, of some new people coming in and some product volume going up and people getting a lot of customers, I say, hey, I should get on a plane, fly over there, and pour kerosene on that fire. And so that's what I did for 5 years, is I really invested in my leaders. And I crisscrossed the globe. I flew plane from here to there and everywhere, in between. But I would tell you what, I really did develop, I think, the greatest collection of leaders that have ever been in an organization. I am so proud of the people on my team, and in particular the leaders on my team, the top executives, the leaders, in the higher pin ranks, because we've created an amazing culture. And we did it by them duplicating the same thing I did, which is they saw how I went down and discovered potential leaders and went down and nurtured them and worked with them and invested in plane tickets and travel and time away from home to go in all these markets around the world and develop those leaders. And that's why I feel I have such a strong passive residual income now, because it's not about hype, it's not about rah-rah, it's not about any of that stuff, it's none of the smoke and mirror stuff. I have passive residual income because I have a bunch of successful leaders. The way the compensation plan is set up in my company, you can't become the top income earner without helping a whole bunch of other people reach their highest levels of success. And I'm really proud of that, So this is the 6th year that I'm winning this award as the top income earner in the world. But that isn't what excites me. What excites me is the fact that I qualify for that because I have helped the most people in the company reach their goals and their dreams. And that's what I want you to duplicate as well. So that as you apply these lessons, you're going to see it's all about duplicating with your people. And that's going to lead us to lesson number 7. It's not about you. So why do I say lesson 7 is it's not about you? And it's not about me. It's not about me, it's not about you. It's about your team. It's about your system. It's about creating a rank advancement culture. Because what you're going to see is, and I did this for many years, I thought, well, the secret is I've got to create this cult of personality. I've got to become this larger-than-life figure that will inspire my organization, and everybody's going to want to be like me, and that's going to drive up volume. That's going to drive growth. And to an extent it does. I mean, there certainly are a lot of people in our business that have gone the cult of personality route, and they've got fairly good-sized teams, and some of them have really big teams and really big incomes. But if I learned anything these last few years doing this the right way, the building block way, which is, hey, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about our teams. It's about our people. It's about putting the systems in place, having the training in place, making it scalable. So you see, we're tying together all of these 7 lessons. And then we want to be able to transfer the skill sets from the top of the organization to the bottom of the organization as rapidly as possible. And that's the thing I promised to tell you about, this online learning platform that I created. Because this is really the culmination of my 25 years in the business. I've created the Gage Academy for Network Marketing Leadership. It's a membership academy that you really should belong to. If you're serious about success in our space, you're going to love this academy. And you're going to love what it does for your team. Because it's about all of the skill set stuff. How we teach our people to teach their people, to teach their people, to teach their people. Because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about our team. It's about how quickly can we get them proficient in not just the 4 basic skill sets, but then later as they evolve up the compensation plan, we want them to become proficient at presenting. We want them to become proficient at leadership development. We want them to become proficient at team building. So there's other more advanced skills that we're going to want them to learn later on as they advance up the compensation plan. And again, we want to do it in a way, how do we automate it? How do we systematize it? How do we make it scalable? And that's what the Gage Academy will do for you. It's divided into 4 different criteria, and you can get certified in each of these 4 different levels. And we have a number of people who are already level 4 certified around the world. And here's what I'll tell you, is each of them will tell you the same thing. What they've seen in their business is increased activity. Their people are more confident, so they're making more prospecting calls. They're making more presentations. They're converting more people, meaning the people who come to their presentations or they put in front of a presentation, a higher percentage of people are joining the business. And once they join the business, the other thing you'll see with the Gage Academy is your retention will go up and your dropout rate percentage will go down. Because why do people quit? They quit because they're nervous, they're afraid, they don't know what to do, or they're not getting results. And with the Leadership Academy, they'll get results. They won't be nervous, they won't be afraid, because they'll know exactly what to do. So the first module is about professionalism and awareness and what network marketing is and what's the cultures we need to develop. How do we become professionals in this space? What is this amazing professional about? And then we get into the recruiting segment. And that is just lesson after lesson after lesson. How do you meet people? How do you talk to people? How do you invite to people? How do you follow up to people? It's scripts and outlines to follow and processes to follow to completely take away the fear. The third module is about team building stuff. How do you build lines long distance? How do you work with multiple lines simultaneously? How do you work with one marker on a whiteboard or one click on a webinar and be working with 9 different lines at the same time? All of how do we create the events, the training, the structure that allows the team to really build, to allow the team to create and develop an energy all of its own. So even when you're not involved in the day-to-day, like I haven't been involved in the day-to-day for 8 months now, yet my organization, and my check was, actually a couple $1,000s more this month than it was when I went on sabbatical 8 months ago. Because it isn't about me, it's about the system, the training, the tools, the structure, so that the team becomes an entity of itself. The system becomes an entity of itself, and your people just plug into that system. So you'll see how to really make that happen with the Gage Academy. And then the 4th module is all about the leadership stuff. How do you recognize potential leaders? How do you nurture those potential leaders? And then how do you develop them into leaders? And then how do you lead your leaders to lead their leaders, who lead their leaders and their leaders? So you really do create this leadership factory where every month you have new leaders bubbling up on your team and learning more about it. So those are the 4 modules. You can get certified in all of them. But the biggest thing about the membership, a couple other things that are really important for you guys watching this training. One is it's all you can eat. So in other words, you register one time, it's like $77, and then it's $17 a month, all you can eat. Anytime, night and day, you can access the site and get to any of the content anytime. So whenever you're stuck, whenever you just need to be inspired, whenever you got a problem, whenever you're nervous, you just go on there and look for that particular module. So some of them, like how to meet people, that's the big difference between the amateurs and the professionals. I mean, how many times you see beginners in the business say, well, I don't know that many people, or I've talked to everybody I know, or the people I know, they've all been approached, they're not interested. That tells you you've got an amateur, because a professional would say, okay, I got to work on my skill set of how to meet more people. So with this platform, You can go in at any time and take that course over and over and over and over. It doesn't matter. I get that you graduated and you passed it or whatever, but there's some of those courses that you should take every month. That just over, like presenting. I've been in this business for 25 years, but I still work on my presentation skills all the time. I still work on my people meeting skills all the time. Because even after 25 years, the day I think I know it all, that's the day you're dead. I know what makes me successful at the level I'm at, and I'm at a world-class level of success, is because I'm always working on my own skill sets and always keep developing them. So you can mark courses as favorites, come back anytime, you can take notes along with it, save them in the platform. When you go back and resume a course where you left off, it's your customized, your little university in your computer. Now people ask, can you do it on a cell phone? No. They asked me how to make it mobile friendly. I said, no, I don't want it mobile friendly. When you take these courses, you need to do them on your computer or on a tablet. Because there's a lot of graphics, there's visuals, and there's handouts and things. And I'm not just, I'm not interested in selling some crap to make money. All right? If I was going to create a course, it had to be a course that I would want to take, a course that I would want my team to take, that gets results. And so it's not a smartphone thing. You need to really, if you're going to do this, be serious and actually do it. The other thing I want to tell you about is the fifth module, which we're just calling my rocket boosters. And those are just when you're scared, you got this really important prospect, and you're just nervous and you need a little jolt of confidence, there's a rocket booster for that. Or something happens, your top leader drops out, or your sponsor quits the business. There's actually a rocket booster for that. And these are not courses, there's not a test after these like the other ones, and there's no certification. They're just, some of them are 30 seconds, some of them are 2 minutes. They're just, like there's one, hey, I need somebody to celebrate with. Maybe it's the 31st of the month. It's 2 a.m., you just checked the back office, you broke the rank you were trying to get to for 4 months. It's too late, you can't call anybody. Well, you go hit that rocket booster and you can share that with me. That's one of them. So, and I got to tell you, the people, and I've got really a who's who of the most successful people in network marketing are on this platform now. And they're putting it into their teams. And I can tell you that the top leaders, and by this I mean people who make at least $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 a month, they all tell me the same thing. The most valuable part of the platform to them is those rocket boosters, because it just helps their people's confidence so much, and it's reducing the dropout so much, and increasing the retention so much, because that's just, it's a fact of life. We're bringing a lot of people into the business who have never been in business for themselves before. Most of them are employees. They have a job and a paycheck and a boss. And so when they get in business and they don't have a time clock, and they don't have a boss looking over them, and there's nobody telling them what to do, and they face some rejection or they have some dropouts, it's really easy for them to quit. So this platform makes it easier to stay, because this platform keeps them focused on their dreams and building them and achieving them. And I got to say, I got a call from the programmer a couple of weeks ago, and he said, Randy, nobody here can believe what is happening with your Gage Academy. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? He said, you have the stickiest people of any platform we've ever built. They spend more time on the site, they take more courses, they finish the courses, they graduate, they get certified. We have never had a course that had such participation from the people. You're the #1 of every course we've ever built in years. And I was like, that doesn't surprise me at all. I know my tribe. I know that, these are people who are serious about success. They're entrepreneurs. That's why they're in network marketing. They don't want to be employees. They don't want to have a boss. See, they built a lot of platforms for people like in the corporate world, and they need to take courses to get credit for their boss or something. Those are not the people on our platform. In the Gage Academy for Network Marketing Leadership, these are people who are in our business who want to get better, who want to build bigger, better, and faster. And that's what that academy could do for you. So I invite you, there's a link below. If you click that, you can register. Like I say, it's a one-time registration fee, and then $17 a month, all you can eat forever, unlimited access. So here's what I tell you. I really mean this. In terms of a building, it's the fastest I've ever built. And so as I said, okay, let me analyze that. Let me critique that. What did I do differently? Because I've been doing this for 25 years. And then I was out of the space. And for those of you who don't know the story, the last company I had worked with, they went out of business. So I was making about $50,000 a month, and they closed up. Nice people, they weren't evil people, they weren't bad people, they just ran out of money. They weren't adequately funded. They had a co-founder who kind of skipped out on them and left them in a lurch, and it was a really bad situation. And so overnight, we lost our checks. And I just said, you know, I just had too much psychic damage. I just can't do this anymore. And so I spent years where I was out of the business, where I was just a consultant, author, and, you know, I was coaching and consulting, and, you know, I consulted with the biggest companies in the world. I opened network marketing in a number of new markets, and I coached the top leaders in virtually every company in our space. And I could give you company after company after company of where I coached the top leadership, the top income earners in the world. And I can, you know, I'll state the claim. I have trained more MLM millionaires and multimillionaires than anybody on earth. All right, you can bring the 60 Minutes camera crew in, and I'm happy to debate that with anybody, because I could show you company after company. You know, of the top 10, I trained 7 out of the top 10. Of the top 10, I trained 10 out of the top 10. I could give you company after company after company where the #1 income earner in the world will tell you, yes, I trained with Randy Gage. Randy's my mentor. I follow Randy's system. Everybody in my team gets Randy's book, How to Build a Multi-Level Money Machine, or we used his generic system. We've been using it for 10 years. So I did that for years, and I trained all those people, and I realized, you know, I'm like the shoemaker with no shoes, because here I am showing everyone how to build passive residual income, and I'm not doing it myself. So I said, I'm going to get back in this space. But if I'm going to get back in this space, I'm going to do it right. And I couldn't contact all those people I was coaching, because that would be, you know, ethically that wouldn't be right. It's a conflict of interest. Those people were all clients. So I couldn't contact the people that I'd been working with for 7 years when I was out of the business. So I had to start from scratch, and I started with the people I went to church with, the guys I played softball with, the people I met on Facebook or whatever, and that's how I built this team, from the foundational building block stuff from the bottom up. And what was the difference? It was those 7 lessons. And I want to run through them again, just to, you know, key points. Major blast beats constancy. That's probably the single biggest change I made in terms of strategy that had the biggest effect. Will trumps skill. I think ultimately we all know that intuitively, that when we meet someone who really has that passion and desire, it doesn't matter if they haven't learned the skill sets yet. Their passion carries them overward. Number 3 was proficiency. Basics beat mastery. And that was a big change for me. That was a big aha moment when I realized, hey, I don't have to master this yet. My people don't have to master it yet. I've just got to get them proficient in the basic skill sets as quickly as possible. The scalability, that's everything. Because again, when you get somebody serious and they want to sponsor 8 people in a week, there's got to be a way to do that. Because remember, most of the people you're going to bring in the business, they're doing this part-time. They got 10, 12 hours a week because they're working a full-time job. They got the kids in soccer practice and the dry cleaning to pick up and meals to cook and homes to clean and bills to pay. So you can't expect people to come in this business and do it full-time. That doesn't work. It doesn't duplicate. So you've got to have scalability built into the system. Deals are no deal. Nothing else to say about that. Leaders are your best investment. I'll tell you, I've got, I don't know, 10 or 12 top leaders who are probably the biggest people in their company, and a number of them have bought this Gage Academy for Network Marketing Leadership. They've bought memberships for 20 of their people. One of them bought for 50 of their people. They are investing in their leaders. So whether you do it with that or however you do it, I just will tell you, that was the best investment I did, was investing in my leaders and getting on those planes and really developing them. And then finally, of course, it's not about you, it's about your team, it's about your system, and it's about how quickly you can transfer the proficiency in the skill sets so they have confidence and they can go into activity, because it's all about activity in our business. So I know this Gage Academy will really help you with that. So if you found this video helpful, please tweet it, Facebook it, share it, tell your friends about it, and more importantly, your team. I would encourage you, get on, click, there's a link below on how you can register and get started in the Gage Academy today. And you can be on in 5 minutes, you can be registered and you can be taking your first lessons. And then I'll encourage you, duplicate that with your people. And the more you get this through your team, you'll see the dropouts will go down, the activity will go up, the recruiting will go up, the number of customers will go up, the volume will increase, because people who know what to do and know how to do it, they usually do it. And that's what the Gage Academy for Network Marketing Leadership is all about. So I hope you found this helpful. I'll put together some other trainings like this from time to time when I think it can really help you in a particular area. For the meantime, feel free to come back and watch this anytime you want. But I hope you get started on the Academy, get certified as quick as possible, and I hope you will make the commitment to really live your dreams like I'm living my dreams, because you're worth it. Thanks, everybody. Peace.